Um, Congratulations, of course, for making another major in Berlin this time. It's the second major with this roster in a row now, and the first one, I would say, went rather well. You got to the semifinals. How valuable was all that experience at an event finally, with this new roster in Charlotte? And what kind of weaknesses do you think were highlighted in Charlotte?
So I definitely think that, you know, getting top 4 was great. Obviously, every team is aiming to do the best they can, and I definitely think that, we put on a show, regardless of the situation with the major and teams not being able to make it, that kinda stuff. I think the biggest thing was when we lost to Astralis. I think it kinda opened up our eyes a little bit with our play style, and, we really focused on that particular issue going into the next for the NAL. And every single game, it was just a constant upgrade. Every single game, even though some of them were really close. I really felt like our issues that we were having, we were really pinpointing them and constantly fixing them every single game. So I think the loss versus Stralis was like the eye opener. I think it was like the biggest like kind of it hit us like a truck because I mean we didn't just lose, we got and there was a reason for that. I mean, obviously, Astralis was playing at the top of their game. They played really, really well. It really kind of opened up a gateway of our main issues, and we just really just honestly, we got to thank Astralis for smoking us that bad because I mean, it really was like, okay, there is a clear issue. Let's fix it. Let's focus on it. And I feel like we did that for this. So I think it was
Cool.
important regardless.
What was the issue that you guys
Um,
found out, I guess?
every team's got their strats, but I think you've got to be able to kind of freestyle. There. You've got your main takes, but at the end of the day, you need to be able to completely do something on the fly, which is something that Astralis did very, very. And if you're playing structured still while another team is playing chaotic, it's very hard to contain, especially on a map like Oregon. I think it was really, really kind of eye opening on Oregon specifically because it's a very small map and you can kind of
Hmm.
really capitalize on a team that's playing structured when you play that kind of wild play style because Oregon has so many. So for us, it was like, okay, let's have our set strats, but let's find a way to kind of evolve and be able to kind of play on the fly. And that's kind of how we focused for the NAL. That was very kind of default stuff, but we kind of free ball it a little bit, and I think it keeps kind of teams on their toes. They don't really know what.
Yeah, fair enough. And looks like it's really kind of worked. I guess New Year's has been absolutely, transformed the stage, top in rating, top in KD. And of course, Fox is also best in KOST. So, like, is this the reason, this freestyle thing, is the reason why New Year's was kind of like just unleashed?
I mean, I think it's a factor, but I don't think it's the main reason. I mean, just to be blunt, Newers is nasty. Keys. He really fits
Sorry,
our
you
our
cut out for a second. New Year's is
Newers is just really, really nasty. He's a really, really
ah,
good player. He's got really good mechanical skills, and I think just kind of putting him into a system a little bit where it makes sense for him to kind of go crazy just kind of flows really well with our team. So I think that I wouldn't say that that's the main reason why he did well, but I think that it caters to his play style a little bit, and it kind of allows him to make some decisions on his own where he can kinda get those 1, 2, 3 Ks, and just kinda
mhm,
have those flashy plays in the book. Yeah, but no,
fair
he's a great
enough.
player.
Yeah, I mean, we can tell. I think he's really like stepped up the stage. But this stage was very very tight in NA. Still, you guys delivered and were the first to qualify in the entire world. Rather, I mean, in NA. But like, yeah, were there any moments of doubt throughout the stage where you felt like, we won't make it, or were there any matches where you were affirmed in like the changes that you've made? Like, yes, the way that we are playing, we are definitely making the major.
Every week in scrims, I kind of there's a vibe that you get every week
Yeah.
where you can kinda tell how the games are gonna be played out before you play them, and the main focus for us is we have issues in scrim that we wanna correct. And if those things are being corrected in scrims, it's going to translate into the game. So every single week we had a focus of what we wanted to work on, and every single week those issues were being addressed and they were being fixed. And I think like that right there, the grind that the guys had. I mean, we've been grinding a lot. Every single every single day at scrims. There was constant improvements. So there was never any doubt we weren't going to make the major. Like on this team, making the major is expected, right?
Yeah,
The issue with this team is
going
not
far.
being top 4 and
Yeah,
being better than that, right? We always aim to qualify and we expect to qualify, but being better than that is where we're at with this team. Like we're kind of done being complacent. Like qualifying for majors is not good enough for us anymore. Like we need to not only have a deep run at the major, but we need to consistently being able to do that. So with the Charlotte major, that was a good step. Obviously, we didn't finish how we wanted to finish, but with this major going forward, that's the expectations. Better than we did the last time, uh, and just continue improving.
perfect. That sounds good, and obviously a benefit towards that, or like a boon towards that effort, is the break that the NEL has gotten, you guys included, because you guys have the longest break between the stage ending and the Berlin major coming up. How much of a benefit do you think that has been to you, being able to hide these strats and like new ideas, or is it a little bit harmful because you guys like, were warmed up in the stage and now maybe you guys cool off a little bit too much?
I think the break is not good.
Hmm.
Yeah, people might not agree with me, but I don't think a month break is good for any team. Like you want to come fresh
Yeah,
off of the
month
games
seems
that you
super long, right? Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, the guys hate us because regardless of having a month break or not, we're still playing, doubles every day, and we're grinding hard. We're grinding twice as hard before the major. So there's definitely no break. But I think that the level of intensity that like the NAL and like just the European League and all those things combined, it's nothing beats that, right? So you can scrim all you want, but the intensity of those matches
Exactly.
um, are at another level. So I definitely think that the month break is a weakness. People might disagree with me on that. I've always felt that, like, for example, in majors when they have losers brackets and a team has to grind through losers bracket, played twice as many games.
Yeah.
Like, I think that that's an advantage. Just because I think that constantly grinding and playing the game is always going to win versus like playing a game and waiting, playing a game and waiting. So
Yeah.
definitely think that the month break is a disadvantage, and but I don't think it affects us because we still grind really, really.
Yeah, I mean, we can basically tell like the team mentality is extremely hardworking. Um, so a lot of people have also been saying in Berlin, and yeah, all the teams are of course very good, but a lot of people have been saying that your group really is the group of death. You got Wolves top in EU, W7M top in BR6, Gaming Gladiators first time in this event, but absolutely a wild card dark horse coming from APAC. And then of course it's you guys. So how much of a bloodbath will it be to get to playoffs?
I mean, I definitely think our group, we've got some decent teams in there, but I mean, if you want to be the best, if you want to be number one, you got to beat the best. And I personally think I'd rather play those teams first in
Hmm.
the for the major. So I definitely think, it's going to be difficult, but as expected, we're always expected to get out of groups. That's our expectation. There's no team that I'm looking at that we're scared of. I mean, we do a lot of prep for these teams, so everyone knows what to expect. I think really the biggest thing for us is just mentality. So I think if our mentality's there, our mental's there, everyone's focused. I expect to get out of this group, but we don't sleep on any teams by any means. Like every team, we
Yeah,
go in with the same mentality, the same mindset. So no team is like kind of a walk in the park for us. I just think that if you expect to lose, you're going to lose. So I don't think any of these teams are scary in my eyes. I think that as long as our prep is good and the guys are ready for it and prepared for it, I think we'll get out of our group. So I'm excited to play the teams. W7M obviously has some beef
yeah.
with Dream. I don't know if you've seen on Twitter, but no ill will towards anybody. We're willing to play anybody, and we're excited to play them. So.
Cool. And yeah, I mean, of course, though, with that in mind, with how close the group is likely going to be, what happens if we don't make the playoff? Because, as you said, this is like probably the best complement of teams that you're going to be facing right from the outset. What happens if you don't make the playoffs? Maybe not because of like you guys playing badly, just like perhaps everyone else just kind of is a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't make playoffs, you don't make playoffs, right? Like, what else?
Yeah.
What else can you do? You just go back to the drawing board. But that's not our expectation for this major. We expect to
Mm.
make playoffs, and uh, I honestly, I don't have a really good answer for that. We don't ever expect not to make playoffs. obviously there'd be a big conversation to be had if we didn't make playoffs, but uh, nah, I mean, if we want to get first
You'll
at this,
see when it get there, if you get there.
ex- exactly, we
Yeah,
expect first is the goal, right? So
yeah.
uh, not making playoffs is not an option for us, and it doesn't really matter what team we have to play. We'll be ready.
Fair enough. Now, final question, I guess. As far as audiences go, obviously you guys have been bang on in the NHL, but as far as audiences go, maybe sometimes you guys have like kind of been underrated a little bit, because like you don't have like the star power of like Canadian or like Bowl or like Iconic. Do you think that actually gives you guys an advantage? Like you get underrated, maybe people don't place so much expectations on you, or like do you like being in like the spotlight and being the expectation to drive you further?
Yeah, I think the guys are used to it by now, being kind of
Yeah.
like underrated, right? Like it's not a new thing, but I think the biggest thing that a lot of people focus on is our performance right at these majors and where we fall
Hmm.
short. And for this split and for the last major, we did really, really well. Obviously, that was kind of the goal. And I think that was the stepping stone, the first stepping stone for this team. But I think that like being an underdog always is an advantage. I think that um, you don't have a lot of pressure kind of weighing on you. Obviously, big players that, like Bolo Canadian, there's a lot more pressure weighing
Yeah,
on their
exactly.
shoulders, which definitely can affect their gameplay. So I definitely think it's an advantage being an underdog. But in terms of like what other people think, I mean, I don't blame them in terms of not being able to win a major, but in terms of consistency, we've
Yeah, you
always been
guys.
there,
Yeah,
and I think that's the respect that the guys really want is, yeah, it's not the best. It doesn't look the best when you're not getting first or you're not getting second, but I think that this new team and this new roster is the best we've ever looked, and I think that motivation to kinda get over that final hump that we've kind of always had issues with is there. So, yeah.
fair enough. Yeah, just quickly actually on that point, you said this roster is kind of new. There's like a couple of like leaks, I guess, that saying that you guys are looking to make some changes. Perhaps is that like, are you gonna rubbish that or no comment?
Yeah, no comment, no comment. I mean,
Ah,
the big thing is just, yeah, just focus on the major. I mean, we don't let any of the rumors get to us and just, yeah, focus on the, uh,
cool.
focus on the major.
Cool stuff, man. Thank you so much for your time, Redeemer, and
Of
hope you
course.
guys really get the bag this time. Hope you guys win Berlin. Good luck.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. You have a wonderful day.